A sunny day in Los Angeles, and the city's atmosphere feels especially alive. Everything around is moving, buzzing, and the air is filled with the scent of fresh rubber from asphalt roads and the invigorating smell of exhaust fumes. In this unimaginable kaleidoscope of life, Clint Eastwood, the oldest of the great movie stars, still stands as an unparalleled figure. He's behind the wheel of his old, yet still quite powerful car, slightly weathered by time, as though it too has lived through his films, through his eras. The car is not just transportation, it's his faithful companion in life, serving him with the same loyalty as the most devoted heroes in his films. And so, amidst the chaotic motion of the city, when the day is at its peak and his thoughts are preoccupied with the upcoming shoot, he suddenly hears that familiar sound. A hiss. The tire. It's flat. It's the moment when your heart drops, and it feels like the entire world has stopped. The car rocks on the asphalt, and despite all its power and history, it becomes helpless. Of course, Clint is not the type to panic, but even his determination doesn't always help. He pulls over, exhales, and steps outside. A bit nervous, he pulls out the spare tire and the jack from the trunk. In that moment, he feels his age, not physically, but more in his inner state. Everything used to be simpler. He would change tires and solve problems on screen with the same fearlessness with which he saved cities, broke criminal organizations, and fought enemies. But now, standing on the side of the road beneath the shadows of Los Angeles skyscrapers, he feels that he's just not as strong as he once was. He tries to lift the car with the jack. Several clumsy attempts. It doesn't work. The metal has rusted with age. His hands are not what they once were. And even the jack suddenly feels heavy, like a tool he no longer grips confidently. It seems like an ordinary situation. But for Clint, a man who has always been in the spotlight, whose name echoed in cinemas, whose heroic images were remembered by audiences for decades, this small failure feels like a big one. And then, on the horizon, he sees him. The guy, a young man, full of energy of an entire generation. He doesn't just seem like a passerby. It's as if he materializes before Clint, like a character from a movie, appearing at just the right moment to save the situation. This young man, a black guy in his early 20s, walks with a confident stride, his eyes full of determination and care for others. He doesn't just decide to help. It feels like he knew that on this day, he was meant to be the one to assist the great Eastwood, and his steps sound as if the weight of fate, not just the encounter with an older man, is on his shoulders, ready to unfold. "Hey, everything okay?" His voice sounds like a confident chord, turning a failed moment into the beginning of something new. Clint, slightly thrown off but with a grateful smile, looks at the young man and says, "Yeah, the tire's flat. I guess I'm too old for this. I used to handle problems like this with ease. But now," the young man just smiles and responds, "Don't worry, I'll help. This isn't the first tire I've changed. I've got this. It's my job." It's as if the entire life of this young man converged in these words. He says in essence, "Yes, I'm the one who should help," and moves toward the car. His movements are confident, almost effortless. In his hands is the jack, which he uses with such ease, as if the scene unfolding before Clint is one where this guy is the true hero, wasting no time. The car is lifted so quickly that Clint doesn't even understand how it happened. The young man removes the flat tire, as if it were just another element of his daily routine, and changes it with such ease that every step seems like art. He's not just doing a job, he's doing it with grace, as if the process itself is part of something larger. In his eyes, there's respect for who he's working with, and his confidence and calm fill the space, turning this moment into something almost magical. Clint, watching him, feels his own pride and professionalism, all the years he spent to become the person he is, subtly receding. Instead of feeling old, he starts to feel gratitude. Gratitude that in this world, there are still people who help without hesitation, expecting nothing in return. When the young man finishes changing the tire, he looks back at Eastwood and with a slight smile says, "All done. Hope I didn't inconvenience you. It was easier than you might think." Clint laughs, feeling warmth spread through his chest. He shakes the young man's hand, and a look of respect, one he rarely shows even on red carpets, appears on his face. "You really know what you're doing," he says, as if this moment is more than just changing a tire. It was a lesson Clint had learned throughout his life. Heroes come in many forms. The young man, nodding, as if understanding that he just did something important, not just for Eastwood but for himself, replies, "It's just my job, but if you need anything, I'm around. Just let me know. It'll always be an honor." Clint, who has always been a master at leaving his mark in history, now feels that perhaps this day wasn't as simple as it seemed. Everything that happened, seemingly ordinary, was actually the moment when lives crossed paths, when one story added a new chapter to a book about help, humility, and recognizing that heroes can be different. When Eastwood sits back behind the wheel and drives off, a smile crosses his face. The world feels a little brighter, as though the sunlight reflects off his car, carrying him further, to the next project, to the next role. But this moment, when the young man came to his aid and Eastwood felt supported, will remain in his memory forever. When Eastwood pulled the car back onto the road and turned the ignition key, he felt an unusual lightness, as if the world had become a little more friendly and responsive. The young man who had helped him was like a guardian angel on the road, and now that everything was in order, Eastwood didn't even know how to express his gratitude. He decided he would simply keep the moment in his memory as another reminder of the kindness that still exists in the world. However, after driving several blocks, the low tire pressure warning light unexpectedly came on for one of the remaining tires. Clint thought, "Another breakdown on a day like this. It's just cruel." He pulled over again, and just as he was about to stop, he noticed a familiar figure on the side of the road. It was the same young man who had helped him with the tire. He was standing in the same spot as if he had been waiting, and when Clint stopped the car, the young man approached the window with a smile. "Listen," he said with genuine interest. "Don't worry, I see you're having trouble with your tires. Maybe it's a sign that you need to rest a bit more. But I can help with this too." Clint, slightly surprised by his appearance, grunted. "Well, this is funny. Looks like this road just won't let you go." The young man laughed softly. "You know, I just thought that you need a little more than just a tire change. Maybe you don't even realize it, but today you have a chance to get something important." Clint gave him a puzzled look, not understanding what he was talking about. "What do you mean?" he asked with curiosity, though he didn't expect this to lead to anything more. The young man stepped closer to the car, leaned in through the window, and his gaze grew more serious. "I know you've been in the movie business for a long time. Can I offer you something? It's no joke." Eastwood raised an eyebrow, sensing his interest peaking. He was a man with a good instinct, and suddenly he felt that this moment wasn't a coincidence. "You're not joking?" he asked despite his cautious nature. "What are you talking about?" The young man raised his hand, and from behind him, a small car appeared. Clean, brand new, with the logo of the auto service where he worked. "I'm not just a mechanic," the young man said now with full confidence. "I work with high-end cars, and I have friends who know how to make any car perfect. So if you want, I can not only fix your car, I can offer you, Clint Eastwood, a unique opportunity to test drive one of the coolest cars on the market. We'll do it professionally, and if you like it, you can keep it." Eastwood froze. He had never been a fan of new cars. He preferred older ones that carried history with them. But the offer was so unexpected and intriguing that he didn't even know what to say. "Are you serious?" he asked, as if weighing the situation. "Absolutely. This isn't just a new ride. These are several high-class models I work with. Want to try something real? Something that could truly impress you? We can create the perfect vehicle for you, one that will meet your every need. And maybe for you, this will be a new chapter." Clint felt something stir within him. He had always been an old-school kind of guy. But this unexpected encounter, this young man who had helped him on the road, now offering not just assistance, but an entirely new adventure, it stirred unusual feelings in him. After all, Eastwood had never been one to shy away from trying new things. And maybe this young man, who had quietly become part of his story, would open a completely new chapter for him. "All right," he said, deciding that this moment was worth trying. "Let's see what you got." The young man with the look of a winner smiled. "You won't regret it, Mr. Eastwood. This is going to be unforgettable." A few minutes later, they were already in the new car. Eastwood behind the wheel, the young mechanic next to him. The car the young man had offered was more than just a vehicle. It was a masterpiece of engineering. It glided smoothly along the road, feeling no bumps at all. The control system was so perfect, it felt like it was reading the driver's mind. "This is incredible," Clint exclaimed, unable to hide his amazement. He felt true joy with every turn and every acceleration. The young man looked at him with satisfaction. "I knew you'd like it," he said. "This isn't just a car. This is something that could become your new reality. You get it? Life isn't just movies. Sometimes you need to try something new, and it can really change you." Clint smiled, truly appreciating the depth of those words. He had always believed that fate meets us at the most unexpected moments, and today his life had changed through a simple act of help on the road, which led to an incredible reward. They returned, and the young man left Eastwood a business card with an offer. Clint, pocketing the card, already knew that this wasn't just a random encounter. It was the kind of moment that always happens when a person is ready to embrace the world with an open heart. "Thanks, kid," he said as he got out of the car. "You didn't just fix my tire. You've opened up a new road for me." Several months passed. Clint Eastwood, as promised, immersed himself in working on his new project. He was, of course, a master of cinema, but the idea of creating a car that would bear his name was a completely new challenge for him. He worked on the project with the same diligence and passion he always put into his films. He thought through every detail, paying attention to every little thing, like a director crafting a masterpiece. The young man who had helped him with the car turned out to be not just a mechanic, but a true visionary. His company was growing more and more well-known, and his talent for designing cars was recognized by many. He and Clint worked closely together, and with each passing day, their project became more and more ambitious. After several months of work, when the design was finalized and the prototype was ready, the day of testing arrived. Eastwood sat behind the wheel of the first prototype, a car that embodied his vision, his style, his philosophy. It was not just a car, it was an extension of himself. As Clint drove onto the track, he felt the car blend seamlessly with the road. It was stunning, powerful, yet elegant. Every turn, every acceleration felt like a perfectly timed shot, like a scene in a movie he would have directed. The car was perfect. It combined the timeless classic feel that Clint knew well with modern technology, which added both refinement and power. Eastwood couldn't help but smile when he returned to the test site. The young man, standing next to the car with bright eyes, watched his reaction. He approached Clint as he turned off the engine. "How do you like it?" he asked, his voice filled with a hint of excitement. Clint opened the door and, without getting out of the car, turned to him. "This isn't just a car, it's a work of art. I feel like I'm driving something alive. It's more than just a vehicle. It's my vision brought to life." The young man smiled, looking at Clint with pride. "You were the inspiration, Clint. You put more into this than just ideas. You put your soul into it. We didn't just create a car, we created a symbol." When they returned to the company's office, where the whole team had gathered to discuss the next steps, Clint realized that this was not just another project. It was something much bigger. He hadn't just created a car, he had left a mark in an entirely different industry. This wasn't just an achievement, it was a new chapter in his life. He could be proud that now his name was not only associated with movie heroes, but with something tangible, something that would last long after he left the screen. But most importantly, he realized that this project would never have been possible without that one seemingly random event, meeting the young man on the road when the flat tire changed the course of his life. The project was so successful that Clint even considered that this might be the beginning of something greater. He couldn't say for sure what would come next, but in that moment, he understood that the important thing was not to be afraid of trying something new, not to fear venturing into the unknown. His life, like his films, was full of unexpected twists, and each one was an opportunity for a new discovery. The car bearing his name became a symbol of change, a symbol that it's never too late to start something new. And Clint Eastwood, as always, continued to move forward. Now not only as an actor, director, and icon, but also as a man who had created his own legacy beyond cinema. And with every turn of the road, with each mile he covered behind the wheel of his new car, he knew this was the moment that changed his life forever.